Ty, let's make it 25.
Tim,
Let's just do
you're
it.
live deciding this right now?
I'm live decided. Let's go 25.
Coming up, we have a special Friday version of the podcast. Tim and I are going to hit on some of the topics we discussed last week. There's some fresh updates. And Tim's experience this week attending the CTRI annual research meeting. The Modern Acre podcast is presented by Corteva R&D. Huge shout out to our sponsor. Corteva R&D is the research and development engine of Corteva Agriscience. Corteva is a global pure-play agriculture company that combines industry-leading innovation and high-touch customer engagement to deliver solutions for the world's most pressing agriculture challenges. Corteva R&D is pioneering solutions to shape the future of agriculture. Their robust pipeline is laser-focused on delivering differentiated products and lasting value to help farmers grow and protect their productivity now and in the future.
All right, Ty, last episode, we talked about Monarch Tractor. There was a lawsuit with a dealer up in Washington State. After we pressed send, we came across a different article that talked about some other news at Monarch, talking about potential layoffs of hundreds of people. And we kind of missed that one before we launched the pod last week.
Isn't that how, this is the problem, Tim? We haven't really done it a ton historically, but like covering the news is like, I don't know if that's the game we want to play, man.
Yeah, you just got to be like always on it of like emergency pod mode.
I like doing the news. It's tough with stuff like this because we hit publish about covering the lawsuit for Monarch Tractor, and then like the next day and right as we hit publish, they talked about this new article from the same reporter at TechCrunch talking about another round of layoffs and really that there's the possibility of Monarch winding down, which is wild. And I think they're trying to make some play with like the software, Tim, of the software platform with other companies and partnerships. I feel like maybe it's kind of like the Agtonomy play or something they're trying to pivot towards. But this is really wild stuff. I mean, they were one of the highest profile ad tech companies out there. A really strong team, and crazy to see like how this has all come really fast. It's felt like.
Totally. Yeah. Like on the last episode, we talked about kind of our takeaways. Nothing has really changed there, but yeah, pretty crazy to see one of the most high profile startups of the past few years in this situation. I think it speaks to a lot of macro trends happening with AgTech, where adoption has been sluggish. Working in a category like a vineyard tractor when the wine grape deal is super depressed is just like challenging markets, and yeah, just a tough time for AgTech in general right now.
Looking at the article, it says Monarch suggests to employees in the memo on Thursday it is trying to pivot even harder away from making tractors, which may not be surprising given that the startup lost its contract manufacturer, Foxconn, earlier this year. The new business plan will enable Monarch customers to launch fully commercialized software as a service, autonomy, and other software offerings direct to consumers, unlocking new revenue streams to OEMs, the startup's human resources team wrote. Unfortunately, the timing for completing the transition to the new business plan puts Monarch at risk of shutdown. Tim, what do you think of this? Even like, has this happened before? Where like, obviously there's like last ditch efforts and pivots, but it's just interesting. Like, we're doing this awesome pivot, but like, it may not work. Like it is wild to see this in a memo.
I think in California, if it's like over 100 employees impacted, you have to like notify them in advance. There's like some like HR rules around this. So I think that's probably why they had to like bundle this news together.
Yeah. So this could just mean for sure they're going away, right? And this is just like putting some lipstick on the news.
Yeah, it totally could be.
Yeah, I would love to hear from someone at Monarch, and we're not reporters, but we're podcasters, but would love to just hear from the team. We know the team there, but just to hear what's happening, and but we wanted to address it in this special Friday version. Tim, another thing that I need to address from the content diet, my pick. Can I address that now?
Yes, go ahead. Floor is yours.
So, do you remember my pick for TV? So embarrassing.
I forget what the pick was, Ty.
That's literally so upsetting. It was The West Wing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I knew it would just come to you. But we, it's really died. It's really like fallen off a cliff. So I need to, I might need to rescind this. I think this is a classic show where, you know, the first, you know, 4 seasons are just absolute fire, great writing. It's Aaron Sorkin. It's just amazing television. And then it's just like kind of dragging on. And one of the Rob Lowe, you know, Rob Lowe, the actor, he left the show and he was like, oh, so integral. It's like not Michael Scott leaving The Office, but it's close. And so that was a huge bummer. So it's a bit fallen off. It kind of reminds me of Lost. I don't know if you ever watched Lost, or it's like the first seasons are so good, and then you're like, wait, what is happening here? Like this isn't good anymore. So we did take a break, and I took your pick, and we binged watched All Her Fault last weekend. And my wife and I were so crazy about this. We were like, we have to finish it this weekend. So we did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like power marathon. And even though we're tired parents of a newborn, like we were like, we have to finish this because it's like stressful watch. Like it's not our style. And we just kind of like wanted to like sprint through it and get done because it was really good.
Yeah, it was a good one. Very intense. We just started season 2 of Landman. That was a good one that we watched. So we just got that one in the queue last night.
I'm bummed about West Wing, but we're going to talk about, Tim, your experience at the CTRI annual research conference. Is that right?
That's right, Ty.
It's a mouthful. But
annual research meeting.
Annual research meeting. But first, let's talk about Farmer Mode. You know, a lot of people are doing the Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales, but we've got something even better for you. It is the Farmer Friday sale. So we wanted to, you know, get in the holiday spirit. We have inventory of Farmer Mode hats, the best hats out there for agriculture, for AgTech founders, for professionals in the ag industry, for farmers themselves. You don't have to be a farmer to get a Farmer Mode hat. It's about the mindset of the entrepreneurial mindset of being a farmer. So anyone can be in Farmer Mode. And we have these awesome Farmer Mode hats. We are doing a special Farmer Friday discount for the Farmer Mode hats. So this is an amazing stocking stuffer. They're great hats. So show some support to the podcast. Use code Farmer Friday for the biggest discount we've ever done. We actually don't discount these ever. 20% off.
Ty, let's make it 25. Let's just do
You're
it.
Live deciding this right now?
I'm live decided. Let's go 25.
Let's go 25. All right. So we're doing not 20, 25 because Tim just did that. 25% off the Farmer Mode hat. This is the best deal you're going to get on the Farmer Mode hat, and use code Farmer Friday. We will make this code good for 1 week. So Friday to Friday. So be sure to get it while supplies last. Great mid podcast plug there.
Good plug, Ty. We had dubbed 2025 the year of Farmer Mode. I think we're just going to do a continuation. 2026 is the year of Farmer Mode as well. We're just going to keep it rolling. All right, Ty, we're a little delinquent on the pod this week. I was at the California Tomato Research Institute's annual research meeting Wednesday and Thursday this week. I'm on the board there. So it's been fun just kind of getting involved with that organization. They do a lot of great research work around the California processing tomato industry. There's a lot of statewide issues that address the industry. And so what CTRI does is collect assessments, voluntary assessments from growers in California to basically participate in these research products that benefit the organization as a whole. So it's kind of like the rising tide lifts all boats. Of a lot of growers are facing similar problems, whether that's pests or challenges on their farms. So kind of pooling some money together to help solve some of these industry-wide issues. So this week was the annual research meeting, and a lot of kind of people from academia and research groups that were presenting on kind of what proposals they were hoping to get funded for this upcoming year. So sat through kind of a day and a half of nonstop panels. A lot of it, Ty, admittedly over my head, very technical. Anytime you get me in front of a PhD, it's always quite interesting to seeing what lands.
Yeah, Tim and a PhD walk into a bar is like a great start to a joke making fun of Tim. So yeah.
No, but really, really cool of like just how many people are like involved, like kind of like we are in our own little bubble on the farm of just like how many people are kind of like outside that trying to solve issues, different challenges that are facing agriculture more broadly. So it's cool to see kind of what the proposals were and how they were thinking about solving some of the issues. A lot of them are kind of pest disease related. Ty, there's a big pest called broom rape, which is kind of like devastating. It's like wiped out the tomato industry in Chile and Turkey. Like can wipe out an entire like production zone. So it's like high priority to kind of solve and address how to control this. So there was a lot around that. Different like Fusarium wilt rot, like a bunch of different kind of very technical things that they're looking at. Can we develop new breeding techniques that have resistance to these things? Is there, controls we can do in the field to help mitigate some of the risks? So really interesting to hear the proposals.
And is it farmers only? Is it farmers and processors? What is the kind of makeup of the group?
So yeah, it's not an open to the public meeting. So Zach Bagley, the managing director, invites kind of industry stakeholders. So there's a lot of like representatives from the processors. There's growers in the room, a lot of researchers in the room as well, seed breeders. So it's kind of a collective mix of growers, processors, and industry folks, kind of sitting around the table.
How do I get on a board? I feel like you're on like 10 industry boards. When is it going to be my chance to be on a board?
I think the fact that I'm like back on the farm full time is probably like why, like if given the coin flip, like why they come to me.
I don't know. Right. I think it's like a conspiracy. I'm ready, guys. I have.
If we get Ty on a board, if anyone in there is assembling a board, doesn't matter what kind of board, we need to Ty on a board.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to just make up a board. But, I have a few things going on. So probably wouldn't have time for it. So,
yeah, no, but it's interesting just catching up with a lot of friends in the industry, just talking about the challenges this year. Like obviously, like coming off a pretty challenging farm environment, so just kind of sharing war stories and commiserating as farmers do, just trying to get through the year and just kind of see how they were thinking about the business and adoption of AgTech and biologicals. One of the things, like we obviously Ty on the podcast talk a lot about biologicals, and just still seems like, yeah, the big challenge is like getting efficacy on farm and like proving that these products actually work, where there was, some proposals around biologicals, and it's just a very challenging problem to solve, where you could have, farm that's regenerative organic and the soil is alive, and like you introduce a biological there, and you might not see a big response there because the soil is already full of life, versus if you get a soil that's dead and introduce any biological, it could be, a bunch of different things. There's going to be some kind of response just because that soil is dead. And so I think there's still a really big gap. Tied like makes me like more bullish on AgList and kind of trying to bridge that gap on what works, but nothing has been solved yet in biologicals. Ty, it seems like there's still, a lot of grower skepticism around the efficacy of products. And so a big opportunity there to actually like prove out value.
100%. And I mean, yeah, to your point, this is one of the reasons we made AgList, right? Or the key reason we made AgList is because there's thousands of companies. There's tens of thousands of various products, some of which are very similar, right? So how does a grower make any possible sense of this? So we talked to Brent Smith of New Leaf. We talked about kind of the fragmentation in the market, and I think it's ripe for consolidation, right? In the space of, does there need to be thousands of biological companies? I think it's a really interesting question, right? Of how these companies can come together, partner, merge, consolidate, to provide like what are the best products that are actually getting consistent efficacy from growers. And that's what we hope to solve with AgList, right? As you go to AgList and you see the top products and you see what is responding regularly and consistently with growers, and that can be the North Star of what works. So I'm really excited, totally agree with you that there are challenges on farm with grower adoption and efficacy, and we want to help solve that with what we're doing with AgList. So that's cool to hear. What's the general sentiment around just AgTech, Tim? I feel like we're in a really weird market on the investment side. We've talked a lot about it on the podcast. What was the vibe in the room around AgTech?
Yeah, I mean, looking around the room, Ty, like I still feel like we haven't hit peak AgTech by any means, where like a lot of the tools that farmers are still using are tried and true and work. And sometimes AgTech, the knock-on has been like the hammer trying to find a nail, versus the opposite way around, where some of the tools that are out there just like haven't got adoption. Like we talked Monarch at the top, and like there's in a room full of a lot of farmers and ag folks, like I'm sure none of them own an electric tractor because the old equipment works. Like on our farm, that's the case. We're running 40-year-old tractors that we know how to work on and repair on. And so some of the tech that's out there is cool, but it's not necessarily like needed. And like that's the feel I get in agriculture right now is like nice to have versus need to have, of like we're in on our farm, like we're in cost savings mode of like anything that's an expense that's not critical, like we're really putting a magnifying glass on that expense to see if it's truly needed for the farm. And I feel like a lot of ag tech is falling into that bucket right now, where if it's a nice to have, that might get scratched from the budget versus things that are drawing immediate value. And like some of those things that, you know, you see a clear ROI on are like not the sexiest things. It's drip tape because you see the yield benefit. It's stuff that that is much more practical than, you know, SaaS that's kind of a little bit less clear ROI.
Makes a ton of sense. I think it's really interesting to get your perspective on that. And I think, yeah, have we reached peak ag tech? I think, yeah, the answer is 100% no. From an adoption perspective, from an investment perspective, hard to say as well. But I think there's still a ton of opportunity. It's about, I think, the whole ad tech space is just, I think, right, and it's like teenage years right now. It feels like, right? It's like kind of growing up and trying to figure out what is actually working for farmers, not what's shiny and like gonna change the world, but something that's things that are obvious and provide clear value. And I think we're also just in this phase of like technology curve, right? Where stuff is getting cheaper. You know, we look at robotics, laser weeding, a lot of these things that the cost to produce an effective machine is getting cheaper over time. And I think we'll at some point I think maybe we're in the, the trough of disillusionment when it comes to ag tech, I think right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed the quick, fun, special Friday episode, recapping Tim's event this week. We don't do Black Friday. We don't do Cyber Monday. We do Farmer Friday here at the Modern Acre. So get your Farmer Mode hat for not 20%, 25% off. Use the code Farmer Friday. The code will be good for 1 week. So this Friday to next Friday, grab that holiday gift for a farmer or someone in agriculture that is a hustler, an entrepreneur. Get them the Farmer Mode hat for the holidays. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, and we will be back next week.